are conditioned to think that we're so separate and that it's so hard to communicate with our guides or our creator or whatever you want to call it. And then really we have these tools that can help us
Yeah.
connect in such an easy and beautiful way and receive those messages.
Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective.
Join us on our podcast for a journey into the hearts of healers from all walks of life, diving deep as we explore meaningful conversations that have the power to inspire, empower, and share life-changing wisdom.
Through this community, we hope to create a welcoming environment where our listeners leave feeling nurtured and uplifted. We are so delighted you are here. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Renee. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in.
Welcome back to another episode of the Wholesome Healing Collective podcast. Alyssa and Renee here, tapping into this new year, 2024. And we were so honored to meet last week and dive into Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light annual visioning process workbook. And it was such a beautiful, juicy time. It really helped us get into our visions and tap into our purpose and mission. And we are just here to share about that today.
I loved going through this process with you, and I loved the workbook that she provided us. It was such a great mix of prayer and reflection and journal prompts and card pulling. It was really a whole experience.
Yes, and the meditation and the embodiment and the soul. Oh, it was so beautiful. And I loved getting to do it with you and just kind of holding each other accountable for that process instead of
Yeah.
last year when I did it, I kind of drug it on because I wasn't making it a priority. But I'm so glad I did this year.
Yeah, I feel like this year I spent more time really reflecting and digesting the previous year before setting intentions for what I'm calling in for the new year. I think in years past, I've kind of just jumped ahead and it's like, okay, what am I calling in for this year? And I am visual. So the last few years, I've done a vision board, and it felt really, really supportive this year to take that time to reflect on the past year and lessons I've learned, the things that I've shed, the space that I'm creating before I call in what will then fill that space. So it felt really
Mm,
juicy.
yeah, Rebecca really enjoys closing things out and having like that ceremony around the closings. And that's been really nice to bring in. Yeah,
Yeah.
honoring the last year and feeling that gratitude for everything that's happened along the way. Mm.
I feel like it
Um,
helped us, or at least it helped me have gratitude for some of the sticky, crunchy stuff that maybe I didn't have gratitude for as I was processing it. Um, but now looking back, I'm like, that absolutely needed to happen. Those conversations needed to happen, those emotions needed to come up, those tears needed to come out. Like it was all part of the storm of 2023 that needed to clear the way for the rainbow of 2024, as cheesy as that sounds.
yeah, I love that. I'm looking to incorporate like a monthly closeout. I think I'm going to do two ceremonies a month with myself, one at the beginning to envision the next month and one at the end to look back, reflect, feel that gratitude and close it out before I move into another month. And then after that sacredness is done, go in and do my my expenses and log my income and just button that up as the month ends instead of at tax time the next year
Yeah.
because that's not very fun to do. And that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, that'll be nice to have that, set yourself up for success when that time comes.
Yeah.
Um, Sam Skelly talks about how she has a monthly process where I mean, she has a bigger process, but I'm just going to highlight the part that came through when you were talking about closing out the month. And she talks about how she looks back at her month and identifies where her energy leaks are. So she looks at her relationships, her business, her house, her family, and she said, she has the trying to find the right word, but essentially she's looking at, okay, where are there still threads that need to be closed, reconciled, cleaned up so that we can call our energy back and then move it forward instead of just jumping into the next month, the next set of intentions when we still have these energy cords like dangling behind us, attached to stuff that we don't need it attached to.
Yeah, that's such a powerful tool. I love that.
Yeah. And I noticed that I energy leaks, as small as they may be, I've identified certain things that kind of roll around in my mind as like an undercurrent that are truly energy leaks that I just need to reconcile and close out so they're not taking my attention anymore. So I love that. I want to adopt that as well, having a closing process and then an opening process and keeping them separate as their
Yeah.
own special thing.
Mm, juicy. So
Yeah.
we're both carrying that into 2024. Um, and let's just chat about our intention and themes for this coming year. You mentioned pulling cards in this process, and Rebecca Campbell invited us to do an 11 card spread. And it was so beautiful. And it really spoke to my intention that I'd been brewing on and helped me bring it to life, put it in words, and help me envision it. So, why don't you go first?
Okay. Um, yeah, so I'll just run through maybe the what each card represents in her 11 card layout,
Mhm.
just to give a little bit of context to the cards that I pulled, which I made a note on my phone. So let me just take a peek there. So the first card represents where you are in the present time. And for me, that was listening for truth. And I was like, it's pretty spot on. And then the second card is representing what your soul is calling in, or calling you to do in this upcoming year. And for me, that was in the world, not of the world, which was a special message that, in summary, um, the way I interpreted it is that we're coming to this world with gifts and energy outside of the world, and we're bringing that into the physical and into the 3D. And it was just a lovely reminder of my own divinity, I feel
Mhm.
like, and a reminder to not get sucked into all of the human stuff because ultimately we're not of this world. And then three was focus on the light, and that is represents what is rising in me,
Mm.
which felt very appropriate, and it really felt like, um, well, I'll just go to number four because these kind of go together. Number four is what is falling away, and that card was after the storm. So it really felt like in 2023 there was a lot of stuff that I needed to stir up inside of me, look at, acknowledge, integrate, and release. And in doing so, that is allowing me to focus on that light and let my own light shine without all of my shadows drowning it out. So that felt just really supportive receiving that message. And I feel like that was what helped me really acknowledge all the crunchy things that I went through in 2023 and really have that gratitude of, this is the storm. This is what needed to get stirred up. And now we can leave that in 2023. And then 5 was represents your soul gifts. And that was new birth, guard it vigilantly. And I had never pulled this card before, so that was really cool. And essentially, the message that I got from it was that there is new life and new energy sprouting in me, and to really protect and guard that. And it felt like just an anchoring of a message that I've received so many times, is to focus on my energy over everything, protecting my energy, cultivating my energy, and being very centered in my energy. And I'm gonna save the next one for a different card, actually, what it kind of came through together. But number 6 was represents what is being manifested, and that was seeing the true you. It almost feels like this divine compassion that is reminding me that my truest energy and expression is that I'm coming home to myself. That's what it is. It's like this reminder of coming home to my true essence and energy. And I have really felt that I'm peeling back the layers that are allowing me to really stand in my true energy and expression. And then number 7 was represents the next step, and that was Pandora's gift. And I've never pulled that card either. And it was essentially, it had a lot in it, but what I took from it was, you have gifts, you need to share them, and you're going to be wobbly at first. And there's no other way. And it said that in the card, there's no other way. Like, you will wobble, and you will, there's no way to master these skills and to really embody the gift without a little bit of wobbling as you're getting started. So you just have to get started. You just have to do it. And I was like, okay, yeah, I need that message. I've been getting that from multiple sources. So I was like, okay, I'm really receiving that. And that was one of the big ones out of all of them that I'm really receiving. And then 8 was represents past influences. And the card I pulled was faith in the process. And I feel like that was a message of, no matter what is coming in from the outside world, because that's always going to be here, to have faith in the process and have faith in being guided. And then number 9 represents what you need to know as you move into the coming year. And that was the world wants to be written. And this one really stood out to me because I've pulled this card probably a dozen times. And I think it keeps coming up because I keep not listening. And it's interesting that I haven't really embraced this, because written communication is actually my number one preference for communication. I love being able to write it, read it, rewrite it, change it. I love having that freedom. And I have mastered it in a professional sense, I feel, and haven't really applied it to what is spiritually wanting to be communicated. So And I also know that my great grandmother was very gifted in channeled writing. And I have felt her presence and nudging in meditations like long time ago. So I felt like this keeps coming up because it's a continued message of this is a way that my soul wants to express itself is through the written word. So that's definitely something that I'm going to be focusing on in the new year is pouring into having time with
Mm.
writing. And then number 10 represents hopes and fears. And that card was big, bold vision. And I thought that was super perfect because um, it's my biggest desire and my biggest fear, and it represents the magnitude of my mission and the magnitude of fear around it that I need to work through and release. And then number 11 represents the potential outcome. So in all of this, in listening to my truth and focusing on the light and the the sprouts that are being grown in me and seeing my true self and having faith in the process and working through the bold vision and writing it, the potential outcome is inner trust.
Mm.
And when I pulled that card, I was like, okay, that's something that I've has been an undercurrent of focus this whole year is realizing my lack of trust in myself and wanting so deeply for my trust to be built. And so it's just so perfect to go through that process, to hear these messages, and then to pull that last card. And it's like, yeah, if you do this,
Mm.
everything you've been wanting is right here, and you're going to have that inner trust, which for me, that inner trust will give me the freedom that I want, which is really what my soul is yearning. That's really the focus that the word that I'm going to focus on in 2024 is freedom. And I, when embodied in freedom, will have the deepest inner trust. So
Mm.
that was my cards.
I love all of those cards for you. That message is so beautiful.
Mm,
Mm.
so juicy. I can't wait to hear yours.
Okay, so my message, and I used Rebecca Campbell's. Oh, what deck did you use?
Oh, I used Rebel Spirit deck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. I used Rebecca Campbell's two of her decks, Work Your Light and the Rose Oracle. Just because I wanted to kind of like interweave the messages. So I spread them both out and then would ask, which card represents where I am in present time and run through all of the cards. And that was kind of a process, but I think it brought me to such a beautiful message. So card number one for me, which represents where I am in the present time, is the rose thread, which is inner call, soul led, the mystic, and living courageously, which I feel aligns. And it was just really cool to get that card. And I think the very first like sentence of it is like, this is the card for the mystic. And that's been something that I've really been trying to lean into this last year is mysticism and ancient sacred knowledge that's been hidden from us and tapping into the mysteries of life. And so I just thought that was really perfect.
Oh, that is perfect.
Um, Card two, which represents what my soul is calling me to do in this coming year, is the initiation.
Mm.
The rite of passage and crossing the threshold. Keep this in mind when we get to card 11.
Okay.
The third card represents what is rising in me, and it's the rapture, which is sensuality, love, devotion, romance, ecstasy, and pleasure. And to me, that kind of represents the divine feminine, and that has been rising in me and really feeling into that energy and wanting to be an embodiment of the divine feminine. And so that card was just beautiful. Um, Card four, what represents what is falling away, and it was the pillar of light. And when I first picked that up, I was like sad that that was falling away, but it was like this beautiful reminder that like I don't have to lose it. It's just telling me that I'm not spending as much time on raising my vibration and feeling into that part of me as I used to or as I would like to. And so it was a really beautiful reminder that I need to connect with my soul, connect with my light, and be that bridge between heaven and earth.
I
You're
was
funny.
listening to Dolores Cannon yesterday, and it was talking about those of us that are here to be bridges into the new reality. So that just reminded me of that, like you being
Yeah.
as a bridge.
And I think that was the description in here is that pillar of light is the rainbow bridge connecting heaven um, and earth and creating that heaven on earth, which is actually the next card. Um, this card represents my soul gifts, which is Lemuria was the card I pulled, which is creating heaven on earth, and that the shift is happening now, and I get to be part of the ascension and creating heaven on earth. And through reading the Sophia Code, that's kind of been a theme of like creating my own reality, and the reality I choose is heaven on earth. I don't have to wait until I die to live in heaven. Like I can live in heaven right now. And so that was just really cool to see. And then Lemuria, again, that was a theme behind the Sophia Code and Mount Shasta and all of the things that have arisen this last year. But it was really beautiful to have that reminder because for some reason I feel like October and November were just kind of like dark, and I like forgot all of these things. And so I love ending the year and starting this new year and just feeling into the vision and the messages again. Um, Card six, what is being manifested? So this one was release the petals. So manifesting a transformation and shedding and letting go of what is no longer serving me, which is kind of a weird thing to manifest. But I think that on the other side of the release is what is mine. And that leads kind of into card seven, which is the next step, which is also a transformation card. And so it's just like this huge theme that you look back at card number two, what is my soul calling me to do this year? It's the initiation, and here is the meat that I need to be working through this transformation, feeling into the pillar of light, the rainbow bridge, the oracle, shedding what's no longer serving me. And it just is really funny. It's not
Yeah.
funny because it's so aligned, but it's just like funny in like an inspiring way that's like
Yeah.
you can get these messages that you need just by pulling cards. I think that's what I think is funny because it's all right here.
Yeah. Yeah. And we think, or we are conditioned to think that we're so separate and that it's so hard to communicate with our guides or our creator or whatever you want to call it. And then really we have these tools that can help us
Yeah.
connect in such
Mm,
an easy and beautiful way and receive those messages. Yeah.
yes. Um, the next card represents past influences, and this card is called Brothers of the Rose. So it means the sacred masculine, protection, support, and honor.
Mm.
And the message was really beautiful inside of it, and it made me think that I was maybe leaning too far into the masculine, um, or maybe being influenced by men, and really stepping into this next year, embodying the divine feminine and that flow and the divinity and the sovereignty. And I just, such a beautiful message.
Yeah.
Card 9 represents what you need to know as you move into this coming year. This card is the bud. So potential, promise, it's about to happen, keep going. So it's that like trust, faith, like it is right around the corner of everything that you're working through. Card 10, the hopes and fears. This is Mintaken, which is another like ancient place or maybe even a planet. It was filled with water. So like think mermaids and just hold on, let me check it. So Mintakens are a soul group who originated on a planet in the constellation Orion. They were the first star beings to travel to Earth and believed to be the original lightworkers. The Mintonkins' home planet is thought to have been a water world with water so pure that you can see through it for miles. For this reason, Mintonkins feel most at peace and at home when in or around crystal clear water. They are here to teach us to see the potential in everything and the light in all beings. Many Mintonkins have an odd longing for home and struggle with feeling like they don't belong. It is thought that this is due to their home planet no longer being in existence. If you pulled this card, it could mean that you are a Mintakan or are longing for a sense of belonging, and root chakra healing is necessary for you to feel secure and safe.
Mm.
So hopes and fears. So safety, security, belonging, um, just like seeing that potential. And I felt like I had something else about this. Oh, when I did an Akashic record reading with Mars, she said, "Does water mean anything to you?" And I was like, no. But, like she can only share what she feels is appropriate to share. And apparently it didn't have any meaning. So she didn't go further. But I'm curious now what she meant by that.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
fascinating. Okay, so the last card represents the potential outcome. So remember the what my soul is calling me to do this year is the initiation. The next step in what's being manifested is the transformation, and the potential outcome is the priestess.
Oh, yes.
And I just thought, what? Because after a psilocybin ceremony prayer, I just got really interested again. This isn't the first time in opening a temple and a sanctuary and having that space for healing and transformation. Um, but I was like, who do I think I am that I could just open up a temple? Like, don't I need to um be a priestess or something like that? And so I started like googling and going down this rabbit hole of how do I be a priestess, and it just like kept coming around that like I don't need outside sources, outside people telling me how to do this, that I need to go within and find that initiation within me, because all of these people that have created these programs, they've all done that themselves. They are just sharing what they've done. And so we all have that power within us to tap into that transformation, that healing, the initiation, and be the priestess, especially when you have the spiritual mentors and all the ascended masters on the other side or right here with you, working you through that process.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it was so beautiful.
That is so beautiful. Mm. My heart feels very open
Hmm.
as you said all of that. I wish I could give you a hug.
Oh. We'll do the pause hug over
Yeah.
the Zoom camera.
How special. It's gonna be a good year.
Yeah, I think so. And so I want to refer back to these cards. Well, and she invited us to make an altar that kind of represents this whole vision, the whole process, the cards, the message. I haven't done that yet because my altar is, I don't want to have multiple altars, but I think what is on my altar is like important. So how am I supposed to do that? Do you have any
Yeah.
tips?
Um, I'm not sure yet. I had that same thought, and I actually was like, because like I mentioned, I've done vision boards for the last few years, and when reading through um the invitation for creating this altar, I thought, man, okay, how do I make my altar be my vision board and be the thing that I look at every single day that reminds me where I'm going? And she references it or compares it as it being like a lighthouse and being, and I like that term. I also like the term of being a North Star, where it's always reminding you the direction that you're headed and what you're calling in along the way. So I already incorporate the elements in my altar, although water often gets left out. I need to incorporate that.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I don't think I'm going to, I might declutter a little bit. My altar's been collecting, more over the years. So I might kind of clear a little bit of space, leave what feels really core and true and kind of my like anchor altar, and then add in some elements that represent some of the cards and messages that I pulled that I want to keep in the forefront of my mind as we go through the year.
Yeah. Yeah, because like something as small as a crystal could represent like a whole theme from the card pull.
Yeah.
I love that reminder. Um, I just have this cute little water glass that I keep on my altar, and I'll replenish the water. But like getting like a really cute vase that fits can be an easy way to add that water element.
Yeah.
I think for a long time I thought I had to have like a big water source, but it could be like cute and dainty or however, whatever speaks to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And when spring comes around, I really want to incorporate flowers. I just looked out my window and there's a buck right in my yard.
Wow.
A little young buck. It only has two little horns. It's not even forked yet, I don't think, or it has like two tiny forks.
Oh, I love that. Um, I'd love to touch on, I keep seeing it on my Instagram and Facebook themes about the new year or the new energetic year, the astrological year really doesn't start until March when we move into Aries season and the spring equinox. But for me, because the calendar changed, we're in a new year. This is a new cycle, and I enjoy closing out the old cycle and feeling into the new cycle. Um, while still honoring my body, and like I'm not rushing to make goals happen or pushing myself too hard to go to the gym on New Year's Day at 6 a.m. or doing a juice fast in January. Like those things don't align for me, but creating a new vision and goal, um feeling into my vision, I guess, for my life, but like chunking it down into what I can do in this one year, that feels aligned for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. It feels like with it being winter and this season of rest and hibernation and replenishment, it feels very aligned for me to align with nature in this season and spend the time reflecting and envisioning, but not forcing myself to take action yet.
Yeah.
Um, or if or the action that I am taking that I've noticed is feeling alive for me is laying the foundation of support that will set me up for success as I do start to take action. So I'm taking that time to reflect, taking the time to envision, and then I'm feeling into what support do I need in this upcoming year to really help me when I am ready to start taking action, because I can't do it all myself. And that was another message that really came to me in my reflecting process is there there's an old part of me that feels like it's all on me, like my whole life is on me. And while I make connections and have strong relationships, there's this undercurrent that's like, I don't really need you.
Mm.
And that translate into a wall that is unconsciously up with everyone in my life, because there's a part of me that's like, don't get too attached, because remember, you might have to be on your own. And so that was something that really needed to come to my awareness so that I can work to release that and allow me to connect with the people that are already important in my life and the people that are going to be coming to me for support. Support. Yeah. I realize in that realization of this wall and this undercurrent, this old part of me that needs to be healed, that in releasing that, it's going to allow me to call in the support I really need to help me move forward in the actions that I want to take, so that I'm not forcing myself to take action alone.
Mm. Yeah, like priming, getting ready for that Aries season.
Yes.
I love that. Mm. This is such a juicy episode. I loved sharing card because we did the card part on our own. So getting to listen to your spread was so juicy. And if anybody's interested in doing this process, you should be able to find it on Rebecca Campbell's website, her Work Your Light annual visioning process. It comes with the meditations and the workbook, and you can use any cards you have. And if you don't have any cards, she has a resource for you to use online. And we would love to hear in the comments below what you are calling in for the year 2024. And we'd love for you to subscribe. Don't know how to say that word. um, and in the year 2024, which is now, we will be really inviting you, our listeners, into our Facebook group so that we can continue to stay connected and feel into this community. So you can find our Facebook group in the link in the description below. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I'm excited to have that space to connect. And how great timing. I'm like releasing the walls I need to connect more.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
Such great timing. Mm-mm.
Before we sign off though, after all of the messages you received, what is your word for
Oh,
2024?
embody. So
Mm,
embodying the divine feminine, my highest self, my vision, so that I may become a priestess.
mm, and so it is.
Yeah, juicy. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you have a beautiful rest of the day, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye, friends.